this video, we will see how we can set up the views in Revit and prepare them to be then later on inserted into a layout using the sheet. Now, we already talked about the view properties and a lot of management tools here for the views and the project, but we're gonna see something more specific in this video. So we are finishing the part concerning the 3D creation of the Revit model. So we saw how we can start from the structure and then proceed and applying all the different components here in the build section of the panel. We also talked about circulation, and now we're gonna move towards the part concerning the annotation and how we can display and show some data of our project. So all this part here concerning the model, room and area, and also the part concerning the annotation and the management here, and of course the creation and management of the views, which we can find here some tools. And we're gonna see how we can customize also the views and how we can create more views starting from one to show all the parts and the concepts of our project. So we're gonna start by going into the first view here, which was the infinite top view. Now we can also call this, let's duplicate it. I always duplicate because then I will find many options that I can use. So this is one thing we're gonna do pretty often. So duplicate every time, and gonna rename this site plan. So usually when we do a project, after the general situation here, so we can call this also, let's rename this, I can call this also location, like one. It's gonna be really far. Well, it needs to fit into a sheet of paper, so should be like 100, 1 to 1000 or 1 to 100, so it should be really small, but it should show you everything. So we're gonna keep it like this, and then later when we will go into the sheets we will figure out if it fits or not. Now usually we need to crop everything here because otherwise nothing is gonna fit. So we always need to make sure that we are starting to crop around and take only the things that we need. And maybe I can change here in a shaded view or in a realistic view. Okay, and you know, this is just to show where our building is or are in the project. So we can have a really generic urban look to our surroundings. And then we get to the next one, which is going to be the site plan. Well, this is the location actually, so let me duplicate, and this is going to be, rename it, it's going to be location far view, let's call it, but you can call this anything you want. Now remember that when you will create sheets, these names are going to appear in the sheet, so try to be not too creative with that. Okay, and now let's go to the site plan. Now usually the site plan, it's closer, so, and usually it's black and white and has shadows on it. So I'm gonna switch this into hidden line, and shadows are already on, while here in the location we can turn them off. We don't need those here. And also these are all coarse level of details views, so you don't need fine details, you need coarse because we are very far. Okay, now we can get closer and closer. So this time I will probably insert the property line of my project. So I'm gonna get closer, there we go. I'm gonna start to see a little bit on my project. I can add some level contours here from the site, so I can see the heights of this mountain here. You can place it however you want, just an example. And let's start to try to understand. Now this is the property line. So this is kind of my property, and it's also given me the square meter, so it's pretty useful if you want to make a quick calculation of how many square meters you have in your property. And the next thing is check this a little bit closer. So, well, actually, I think I will use my crop view to get inside my property. I think this is too big, still too big, so I need to get closer here, probably something like that. Okay, and this is gonna be something like 1 to 2000 or 1 to 5000, depending on the space that we have in the sheets at our disposal. Now, you can see here I can still see the grid lines, but they are kind of getting everything messed up. So the first thing you can do to manage the view, we already know that, but we're gonna make also a recap on the most important part of the REVIT interface. So we're gonna go in the visibility, graphic overrides. So you can see here in the view, the first thing, the scale, display model, detail level, and then visibility. And here, remember that we are working now in annotations and annotating parts and information parts. So we don't need to go here to model categories for the moment, but we need to figure out which annotation do we want to see in the view and which not. So in this case, I don't want to see grids or guide grids and applied. So I'm gonna get rid of those first. And now it's starting to be more nice and tidy. Then I want to get rid also of this prospect right now. I don't need it in this moment, maybe later. So right click for that. And we can also use the right click to go specific and go to hide in view the term certain elements or category. In this case, it's gonna be category. And there you go, now it's even better. Now if I zoom, I can see here the stairs, and I don't need that this height. So again, I'm gonna select those and I can hide in category. I can also do something else actually. I don't want to hide them totally. I want to go here in the override graphics. This is another important panel that we're gonna access and manage to set up our views. So we can go again by element or category. In this case, I'm gonna go by category. And you can see here that I can turn on and off something from here. Or I can, if I want, maybe increase the transparency of that. So it doesn't really disappear totally. Well, this is actually the surface transparency. So we need to change the halftone. We can go directly to halftone, so they are not so strong, or we can go to the projection lines and let's change the color. So when you read by object or by material, this means that it's getting this information from the actual object, so from the material basically. And if we want to change that, we can override everything from here. So I can override this information and say, okay, now I want this really not intense at all, with the light gray. And also you can decrease the weight or the thickness of the line. And also here we can say if we want to see or not the surface patterns. Again, you can override many things from here. So let's say okay. Now you can also change the visualization of the thin lines, thick lines. So if you want to actually see how much the lines are thick or